Hey everyone, Brandon here. Brandon from Texas, living in Sweden. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm a registered nurse who moved to Sweden. I wanted to do a video today. It's going to take on a bit of a darker tone, but I'm out in this beautiful forest here in Sweden, just out by the lake by Vamhun, and there's nobody out here. It's fantastic. And I thought I would come out here to clear my mind and kind of change the vibe and talk to you about something you really have to think about if you're going to come. It doesn't matter, Sweden, really any country if you're going to move abroad, especially if you're going to a whole nother continent. So, like I said, I come from Texas, living in Sweden, so it's on the complete other side of the water, and so it's not easy to fly back and forth. I also work in healthcare, so it's not like I can just leave my patients. You know, you have people that are depending on you, their lives are depending on you, so you can't just like up and leave. Plus, we're working on skeleton crews, so there's really not any wiggle room for error. So like if someone's on vacation and then you're sick, then you really got a problem because you got to shut down the whole department if there's like just two of you working. So I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. and I saw a couple of text messages, and they said, "Sorry about your dad, Brandon." And I'm like, what are they talking about? I wasn't expecting anything with my dad, and it was friends, it wasn't any family members. And so I looked to see if I had any text messages from my family, from my mom, brother, or sister, and there's nothing. But there's a 7-hour time difference, so it's 6 a.m. here, it would have been like 11 o'clock at night over there, and they usually turn all their phones and stuff off at about 9 o'clock. So I was thinking they were probably gonna be asleep. I went ahead and texted my brother. I was like, "What's going on with dad?" Something, he had a stroke or he got injured on the job or something like that. You know, he's a construction worker, 69-year-old guy, really healthy, muscled up dude, you know. And he's like, "You need a call." So I called. He's like, "You need to be sitting." I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Dad died." So my dad died yesterday at work. He was trying to help some people out. They had some problems with drainage or something, and so he was trying to help with that because he felt sorry for them. He's retired, he should not be working, but he felt really bad for them, and he felt like he kind of needed to help them out. We don't know the details. We don't know what actually killed him. All we know is the homeowner came outside and saw my dad dead. He started chest compressions on my dad. Of course, my dad's dead already. And my emotions are just like all over the place right now. So I've been crying, laughing, and angry. So just as a heads up, it just kind of comes in spurts. So I've cried enough today as it is. Anyways, so they called 911, got the ambulance out there, took my dad to the hospital. Of course, he's dead, right? So we don't know what happened. They're gonna have to do an autopsy because it was unexpected. No one saw him die. He was alone. Who knows what happened? Could be a heart attack, could be stroke, could be a blood vessel ruptured. We don't know. So the neighbor came over to my parents' house and told my mom, or not the neighbor, the home, sorry, I'm a little loopy right now. The homeowner came over and told my mom what happened. And, you know, it was already so late in the day, I would have been asleep. So my mom didn't want to call and disturb me. So when I woke up in the morning, I had this little surprise. So that's what I want to talk about, is if you're going to move to another country, this is something you have to be ready for. Is these things happen. It's really hard to predict. And I remember when my grandmother, before she died, she had cancer for 5 years, and they did surgery and they operated and took the cancer out. But it was always just this thing of like, she's not getting any younger, she's gonna pass away eventually, and I don't want to be like abroad. You know, I was really close to my grandmother. But the thing is, I realized if you just sit around waiting for all your family to die, then it's your turn and you haven't lived life. So it's really tough to hit that balance of, you know, you have your family and your friends that you care about so much, but you have your life too. So anyway, I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna change the vibe. I gotta get out of the apartment and do something a little more positive. I remember my dad in another way. So this video is for my dad, a tribute to Dad. And it's interesting, my father, he hates funerals. He hated funerals. He said he didn't want one. But it just doesn't seem right to not do anything. So I think it's important to remember him somehow. And I think almost every boy has daddy issues. I'm one, guilty. But I think my dad was a very good man. He was very well respected. He was known to be a hard worker, which is what literally killed him. And it's what killed my grandfather too, his dad. And that's one thing that's interesting about Sweden versus America is the work ethic. I'm not saying that Swedes don't work hard, because they do. But they know how to njuta av livet, enjoy life. They know how to live in the present and enjoy like these small little moments. And you know, in America, I just felt like time just flies so fast. You really don't enjoy life. It just goes too quick. And then your time's up. So anyways, yeah, I got in the car and I thought, you know, I'm gonna go out to the lake for Dad. I'm gonna think about him. My dad, he was a rock and roll lover. You know, you don't appreciate certain things when you're a little kid, but then you get older and then you start to kind of treasure those things a little bit more. And I have a lot of memories, which I didn't really care for or appreciate back then, but you know, waking up 7 a.m. to the smell of eggs, bacon, and loud rock and roll. My dad was a big classic rock guy. I was like, you know, I'm gonna get in the Honda. I'm gonna drive out here to the forest. Just think about him, do a little video, a little tribute to Dad, and listen to some loud classic rock. So I had The Who, and Yes, and Journey, all that good old classic rock going loud in the car out here. So that's how I want to remember my dad. He had a tough life. You know, a lot of people are like, well, why would you leave America? You leave your family and your friends and stuff. And it's like, there's a lot. You can see some other videos on that. But I look at my dad's life, and he had such a hard life. My dad's dad had a hard life, like really bad. And I don't really want to like unpack all that here on YouTube. But I didn't want that. I'm like, you know, life is very fragile, very delicate. There's so many things to experience in life. I want to see a lot of stuff. I don't want any regrets before I die. I want to say that I did as much as I could, that I made a difference, that I made an impact, and have a good reputation, that I have people that love me, and yeah. And so here we are. I'm in Sweden. What am I gonna do? Well, you know, my father, he doesn't like funerals, so we're not gonna have a funeral. I told my mom, I said, we need to do like some sort of family dinner, kind of like a memory dinner thing. I think that just seems right, kind of a closure for a lot of us. So I think that's what we're gonna do, but we gotta talk about it a little bit today after everybody wakes up back in the States. And you know, this is a weird time of year because everybody's taking vacations in Sweden, and you know, most places, I think by law here in Sweden, I could be wrong, but I think by law they have to let you have up to 4 weeks vacation in the summer if you want it. So I had applied for 3.5 weeks vacation starting August 15th, so that's 2 months away. And I had already planned a trip. I was going to go to Hungary. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel all those plans, and I'll just be going back to Texas in 2 months. I can't leave now. If you haven't seen, the nurses are striking, first time in 16 years. And because of that, and then my coworkers are taking vacation. So I can't just like leave. Plus, I don't have the funds for it right now. Money is really tight for me. I got a lot of big costs that have come up lately. So I can't just like buy a ticket and just go. So I think that's what I'm gonna do is wait till August. I'm gonna have to probably go back and help my mom and my brother and sister with a lot of my dad's stuff because he ran a construction company. So we'll probably have to clean up the property and get everything in order. So yeah, so just think about that, if you want to move abroad somewhere, that is going to be a big challenge, being away from your family and friends. With technology, it's nice because I talk to my family once a week on FaceTime, so that's been really helpful and useful and everything. But yeah, I would also say you can't just live your life in fear all the time, thinking, what if? I'll miss my dad, but I don't think he would have wanted me to just sit there waiting for him to pass away and then wait for the next person to pass away. I think he would want me to be a productive guy with my life. He had a strong work ethic, as I said, and so I think that's something I have to just focus on and remember is his work ethic, and I do feel like I have inherited that to some extent. I'm trying to be balanced. I don't want to kill myself working too much like he did, or like my grandfather. So yeah, I also want to thank you guys for coming with me on this journey. August is going to be 3 years since I moved to Sweden. August 2024. It's just 2 months away. And so exactly 3 years I'm going back to Texas. Basically say goodbye to my dad. It's crazy how much has happened. Thank you guys for your support, for coming with me on this journey. I've made so many really cool friends coming to Sweden. Y'all have brought out the best in me. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in many ways. Couldn't have done it without y'all. Y'all are an important part of this journey. And I hope my content is useful. I hope my content makes a difference for at least a few people. I'm not a professional film creator or anything like that, but I do enjoy doing this stuff. I do enjoy putting information out there, and I do have people reach out to me asking for information and tips on things like, studying for the nursing exam here in Sweden and about stuff in Sweden. And, I have autism, so people like to ask about that. So I find that rewarding. And yeah, so just thanks so much for the support, the love, and the kindness. And I had hoped to put out more stuff, but it just seems like it's been one thing after another this year. And now there's this situation with my dad. So I won't be able to put out the amount of content that I had wanted. But I've got this out there in memory of my dad. And yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you for the love and support. And make each day count.